Welcome to a new episode. I am Leona and today I'm speaking with Dante in Ukraine. Dante, you were born in Argentina in 1974 and grew up with two siblings. After spending 8 years studying industrial engineering in Buenos Aires, you started your career working for multinational companies, focusing on engineering and leadership. Seeking international experience and to improve your English, you moved to New Zealand for a year on a working holiday visa before returning to Argentina and expanding your career across Latin America and beyond. But at 40, you felt the need for a big change. You left your corporate job to dive into personal development, which set you on a new journey. Exploring Eastern Europe, you built a new life, starting a company in Estonia in 2018, then dating and marrying your Ukrainian girlfriend in Ukraine in 2022, just 2 days before the war started. Now, in 2024, you have become a father while balancing two businesses. Alongside these ventures, you continue to work as an industrial engineer and teach university courses. Today, we'll dive into your journey and how life has shaped you across different cultures and challenges. Welcome, Dante.
Hello, good day, Leona. Hi, everyone. And it's a pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much.
How do you feel when I read out your story like that? How does it sound to hear your own biography or journey like that?
Well, I mean, it was a perfect presentation. My journey and my life story. So it was great.
And of course, having such a diverse story from so many different cultures and continents, I'm of course very curious, how is life right now in this moment for you?
Well, let's say my life right now, I could say I'm having a great day today. Just have the opportunity to share a little time with family. And I took the opportunity to share some time doing some sports, basically running with a group of runners. So I could say Saturday mornings are great for me.
Great, especially now as a father, huh? You need to make some space for your family and for yourself.
Yes, that's correct. I like just to enjoy time with family, either at home or outside, doing some, maybe sharing some meal or a walk or just playing. Yeah, have also a baby. She's less than a year and every day is magical. You know, it's something magic, new learning or experience. And also when have an opportunity, take the time also for going for some run, relax, and it's mind and body healthy for both sides, let's say.
Well, thanks. I'm very curious. I love to start from the beginning. So, born and raised in Argentina, how's childhood in Argentina? What can we imagine about that?
Well, yes, I was born in, let's say, in the city of Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires is a huge city.
Yeah.
So I was born in the outskirts of the city. So let's say it's not highly populated, but it's not a rural area. So let's say it's like just houses, but used to be a place where all kids went to the street and could play in the street, maybe some football or some tennis or some running or just gathering together with other kids, my brother and friends in the city or in the neighborhood, just doing kids games and just living with family and going to school. That was the activities of kids.
I've been to Latin America and I really appreciate and really value Latin American culture and the people. What would you say is a very typical, maybe also Argentinian value you grew up with?
Yes, I could say like extremely social. It's amazing when you just maybe share a bus with a person and start talking, or maybe you make by chance in the street and you start talking and you just like a fit with the other person and maybe you become friends and then you just go together, same direction and you may share some drinking together in a pub, for example. I could say that kind of flexibility just to make a new friends. I think that's amazing. And also warm, let's say, openness. I could say that's great. Yes.
Yeah, true. And is there any typical value that still shapes your life today?
Well, I really appreciate the warmth. So basically like attitude of a good service, of a friendly style, like a warm spirit. I could say that's the most remarkable. Yes, even today.
And so to just understand it a bit, because for of course a lot of people maybe have not been to Argentina, what would you say, especially because from some people, yeah, Argentina has some very European mindset and European kind of roots. What would you say now, especially living in Eastern Europe, what would be the biggest difference between, for example, Argentina or South America, like really Southern South America, and Europe or Eastern Europe?
It's a question that always people ask me,
Yeah.
and it's not easy because somehow I just get involved so much into local community and so much that maybe I forget. But from time to time, I say, "Oh, that's different." And also, I could say that we live in a globalized world, so a lot of practices are here, are there, habits, or also music, or also even languages. So we are getting all more inter-exchange. But I could say maybe could more reserved, maybe in places like Eastern Europe, and more easy just to start conversation in Latin America. Maybe they take some distance. Of course, when you just break that barriers, you just got involved with people, and of course they are extremely open. But I could say maybe that distance in the beginning that I find as a difference. I could also say I find something like that same distance, maybe in some occasions. I can find that distance also between, let's say not 100% of cases, but between authority and kids or subordinates, like as an authority that you just follow and you take the comments, opinions, or directions or guidelines from your leader or from your teacher, from your tutor. And I would say it's more flexible maybe in Argentina. So it's like more, let's say, equal, and also the subordinate or maybe a student may challenge also the opinion, the comment, or the guideline of the leader. Yes, but it's not 100% of that. It's just general ideas that I see. Also, the treatment to elders, I could find like a treatment to elders here is like sacred. So what they say is what it is. And maybe it doesn't happen that much in Argentina. Just, yeah,
Ah,
that things that
really?
I can find.
I was thinking that Latin America actually is treating the elderly people in a very respectful way. Interesting. I didn't know that.
I could say, yeah, I could say every people are treated in the same way. So it's like it doesn't matter the age or the gender. It's like a equal, let's say.
Okay, thanks. And then I'm very curious about your decision of going to university and maybe studying engineering. Were you already interested in these kind of topics when you were young, or where did that decision come from?
Yes, I could say I just followed the flow. I was studying at a high school, which was a technical high school. I have my environment, let's say all friends from high school studying the same career. So let's say by nature, following that flow, I just continue looking for the best career, the one that resonated the most to me. And I chose industrial engineering, basically. Yes, I like numbers very much and also technical skills. So I could say, yeah, I was quite sure that engineering would be rewarding. And through time, I found that really interesting. So, I discover even more and more things. I like that career very much. Yes.
And what is it what you learned about yourself during these study times?
Well, of course, too many things, but I'm just remembering something now that happened many times in life, but that happens while studying engineering. They were like something like a 40, 50 subjects, something like that, and says, hey, this is impossible. It's a huge or long career will take too many years. And I remember that I just made with a computer a print, and I made like a hiking hill or hiking a mountain with that 50 steps. So it's like when you just go to the summit, it will be eternity, but one day you are in the summit. So it's like forget about being there. So enjoy the path and just care about the today's subject and just go gradually there. Now it's part of the past, but I remember how I was just jumping from one step to the next one. Yeah, yeah. So that was a great experience, and of course a lot of learning, technical skills, and also managerial skills as well. And I think I learned more about that.
Was there a time in that time of period where you were already knowing that you're going to be somewhere abroad later?
I guess traveling was always a dream to me. Maybe it was not that easy or feasible, maybe because of background, probably coming from working class family. So I could not imagine doing that. But maybe it was always like a dream or something like it would be great if I have the chance to travel, to be in other country. I don't think I could expect that. But I remember being a kid watching on TV, for example, pictures of Spain, Pamplona, for example. I say, wow, that's amazing. It's like something unreachable or utopic. And then one day, magically, I was there. Of Norway, one day I was there, or maybe in Japan, one day I was there. So it's sort of magic and came without realizing.
I can definitely share that because sometimes I'm also reflecting and always curious how traveling interest growing within us. And I think once for me, I saw my books were wrapped in old calendar pages by my mother. And I think from the calendar, from different photos, I always had the idea I want to go to that place. And I think this is maybe how we got influenced as a child and to grow this curiosity of seeing different places.
Yes, 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 that's correct. So it was just a visualization or a dream first, and then it was a fact. So now it's in my heart, in my memory, nice stories to share. Yes. And I could say that's the most remarkable for me. I found amazing places, but all of the places involve people. And that's the most amazing to me. When you share stories with people, it's amazing.
I remember it was New Zealand you went to first. How did you decide on New Zealand? Why New Zealand?
Okay, yes, okay. It was, let's say, no more than neighbor countries or throughout Argentina, which is huge country, the opportunity to travel. But then I wanted to gather some international experience, both studying, working, and improving my English. So I was just checking for all the English countries, and I found exciting New Zealand. So I decided to go there and I embark a new continent. And yes, I have the opportunity to be there working, studying, and getting involved with the community. So that was an amazing, great experience as my first country living abroad.
And what is it that you still remember from that time? Maybe a beautiful memory or a special moment you remember and keep in your heart?
Yeah, there were so many. I have the chance. I spent like a year and a little bit more, and it was a wonderful experience. Just meeting randomly, expectedly amazing people, then expectedly the job of my dream. Well, I mean, it was a very nice story because I just wanted to work for some particular company, but it was impossible to set up during my stay in Argentina. I couldn't get any job or contact, but just being there, just by chance on Sunday, just met some person in the factory and he was looking for a person. And then, I was the chosen person to be part of that company. So that was a great experience. But also I met many people in multiple places, either cities or rural areas. I learned the language. So giving that step, which is not that easy because you have your flow, you live in your country, you work in some place, you have a lot of stability. And of course, things were very good. So no need to go to other country, but just that spirit of explore, discover. I just decided to jump. And of course, the consequence was amazing. And I have the opportunity to improve my English, to have some savings working in that company, to gain international experience working in that company, and also meeting like amazing people, which even today, after so many years, I'm in touch with my boss in that company, just to give an example.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, I'm functioning in a similar way, but I know there are a lot of people who are struggling to give things up and to jump, especially nowadays as economy and political situations are more intense. What, if you remember something, what were the odds you were facing at that time? Were there some critical thoughts or fears, worries to give up your life in Argentina?
In Argentina.
Like to go to New Zealand or to
Well,
jump?
to jump from Argentina to New Zealand. Okay, maybe not at that moment. Okay, Argentina a few years before had some economical crisis. It was extremely difficult to get a job. Maybe it was because I was extremely overloaded with work and I was almost having three works at that time. But maybe even before that crisis, I am not getting the opportunity to work and I will just take the benefit of my time studying, getting prepared for the good times. Of course, I wanted to have work opportunity before, but I could not, and I just dedicate myself for studying. Of course, doing some sports as well, or just joining friends. And again, just moving from Argentina to New Zealand. Well, I was in partnership, a couple. I could say that was the most difficult point. It was not easy. It was easy or not so difficult for me just to quit the company I was working. I feel that I conclude a stage in my life. It was not that difficult, not being separated from couple for a while. That was the challenge.
I understand, of course, the
I could
relationship
say
is the
that
biggest thing.
maybe
Yeah.
was a, yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
And what kind of job did you do in New Zealand?
Okay, so the first work that I found was working in a dairy farm.
Ah,
So I was working in a rural area. We were about 5 people and a farm. So they were a herd of about 1,800 cows and just going together with a milking shed and milking. So
wow.
assisting with any kind of daily operations there in the middle of nowhere in the south of South Island in New Zealand. So that was the first work that I have. Yes, that was amazing experience.
And what did you learn about yourself during that time? It's also quite
Oh,
a time ago, of course.
uh, maybe I can say now that I can manage well by being by myself. I could adapt to the new environment. I could integrate easily with locals. So of course, always miss family and people, but I also could adapt very well to local community. I could say that's the most remarkable. Yes.
Hmm.
Also, I have the chance to work in other companies related with the dairy industry. Just following the previous question.
Yeah, wow. It's a very big difference to the engineering life, huh? Suddenly working on a dairy farm. A cool, different, opposite adventure, I would say.
Yes, but also everything is interconnected. And I could say that I already have experience working in my country in the engineering department and others within the food industry, and also just working in dairy farm and then joining a dairy company. Also, let's say in the food industry, it was like a complement or an extension of my previous career, and also working in other works. I work, for example, in the environment department for water treatment plant. So I also have that experience in Argentina. So I was already increasing my experience in new country, let's say.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm thinking I haven't been to Argentina and I haven't been to New Zealand, but these places both are very top of my bucket list, especially also in terms of landscape. What would you say? Maybe a very naive question. Of course, Argentina is way bigger, but they both have seaside, ocean, and also mountains. What would you say is a difference in terms of countryside and landscape for you?
Yes, I would say in terms of nature, both countries are amazing. If I have to suggest people, I always put on top of the list Patagonia because I
Mm,
believe it's extremely beautiful, amazing. You can just connect with yourself, with nature. You
mm.
can just disconnect from city chaos or Wi-Fi, let's say. You can have a good touch with nature and yourself. There are some other beautiful parts also in the north of the country, which is different climate or weather and also landscape. And it's still so beautiful. You have also mountains or subtropical weathers if you go to the northeast. So spending a couple of weeks if I have the chance there, I could say magic. New Zealand is so beautiful in terms of nature. You can have sort of a condensed in smaller area, beautiful mountains, beautiful sea. Um, uh, that's great as well. So I also suggest if have the chance to travel
Yes.
to New Zealand, that's amazing. Just to give an example, from I was living in some city, and in 2 hours driving, I was by the sea just to enjoy summertime, but I think it was 3 hours to some mountain. And if you are in Argentina from Buenos Aires, you need to drive 12, 16 hours,
Yeah.
20 hours, depending where you go, or take a plane for 3 hours. So, it's like you need to drive like 4 or 5 hours if you want to get to the beach or, to the Atlantic shore.
That's true, yeah. And maybe one more question. What was the biggest cultural difference? What would you say?
Okay, that's an interesting point. I was for a while living in rural areas, and I always express in a funny way saying that here in New Zealand, people are like gauchos. Maybe you know the meaning of gauchos from Argentina. Gauchos speaking in English. I have the same feeling, kind of cool people and so relaxed and friendly and amazing. I enjoy so much, but they speak a different language. So I was the same speaking other language.
So it were a lot of similarities you experienced.
I found pretty much
Mhm.
the same. Maybe I could say something different just because of the geography, living near the shore. Some people like fishing, but this is more related for living in smaller cities. I come from big city and people live with other priorities in life, while living in maybe a smaller town, they go fishing or go hiking, more things like that. Yes, you have some influence, like you can go and eat fish and chips that maybe is more difficult to find in Argentina. You can go and find some grills, some asado, some beef. So maybe some dishes are different, but I still believe they are quite similar. Yeah, I was not missing any food in none of the countries.
I can definitely relate to that. I think the more you see around the world, the more you also realize how many similarities we have in our basic needs and our in being human in many ways, right? Yeah. How did this year abroad change your perspective on life or career? Did it have any impact?
Okay, definitely it has changed for the better. Well, I can say that even when you don't see in the short term,
Hmm.
it is for the better. I gain a professional expertise, but I could say with soft skills, maybe gaining confidence, I improve my
Hmm.
language or even social skills, easiness just to, break barriers. Or is a foreigner, is another person, they are totally different. And in many cases, it's the same. So all social, professional, and confidence skills, I could say.
But you were clear that you wanted to go back to Latin America?
At that moment, I was discussing with my couple because I really fall in love with that country. So I was considering to stay longer, and I have the opportunity. They offered me to stay longer, but I discussed with my partner, and she preferred to stay in
Still, you
Argentina.
still had her,
So
of
I had
course.
to
Yeah.
decide, and I yes, yes. So we were distant, but still together, and we decided to go back to Argentina. Still, I can say it was a great experience. It's like a small package I have for around a year, and it's amazing stories and things that keep forever. That's why I say it worth. It was just 1 year, but it's like an eternity of experiences.
Yeah. Hey, but a long distance from Argentina to New Zealand, that's quite tough. How many hours of difference are there? It's like 15 or 16 hours or something?
Yeah, 15, 16, depending on the time of the year. Kind of now I'm remembering that the flight takes 13 hours.
Wow.
So I remember losing one day when I go from Argentina to New Zealand. And it's funny that I arrived to Argentina before the departure. So let's say I depart New Zealand at 1 p.m. and I arrived the same day at 11, something like that happened. So that was great.
Yeah, that's same day. You're kind of time traveling a bit.
Yes, 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 correct.
Well, and then you started working in international companies in Argentina. What would you say was the most rewarding experience from that time?
Okay, yes, I could say that thanks to that experience outside my country and gathering that new language, gathering experience gave me the chance or the opportunity to get new job opportunities or professional opportunities involved with other countries. So I think that was the most valuable thing. It's not only the language, it's not only being abroad, but also how you feel because you say, I don't want to work here anymore. And may sound poetic or amazing to go abroad. But when you are abroad, you may feel, oh, I realize that this is not me. I miss my
Mhm.
homeland. I miss my family. So I realize now, too late, that it's not me. And okay, I could learn that I can stay sometime in another country. That's why I used to say that I feel like a citizen of the world. Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. But what kind of projects did you do as an engineer, intercultural and international companies in Argentina? What kind of things were you working on?
Okay. Well, either before or after was always related to engineering or supply chain topics to make sure the warehouse has the right items, to work with engineering projects related with production lines to ensure the production goes smooth without stops, increasing the productivity, and also related with logistics and transport management. Yes, was before or also after New Zealand. And of course, through time, you gain more knowledge, more experience, different industries, different environments, and also working abroad. I could say that, at least for me, the most interesting is to exchange with different cultures. I found pretty similar topics or challenges or problems, but exchanging with different cultures, that's also like a life package. It's not only professional.
That's true. What kind of challenges were there, for example?
Okay. Well, technical challenges,
Mhm.
basically
Mhm.
issues with the excess of material usage. So one of the projects working in Hungary was to work with excess of material lost. So which is
Mm.
extra cost the company has and needs to be reduced. An example, working in Canada, having issues with warehouse level of stocks need to be optimized. So working with items in the warehouse.
Okay.
It's technical, but I could say it also involves exchanging with people and solving together with a team.
Yeah, so it's a lot of communication and interpersonal skills. Like, how do you manage these challenges and your
Mhm.
projects and the people, right? I can definitely understand that. And where were you working when you say abroad? What kind of countries or cultures were involved?
He was working for companies in North America, like Canada, also as mentioned, Hungary, Italy, also in Asia. I worked for a few months with some projects related with maintenance and engineering, but then also by myself as independent consultants or
Mhm.
digital entrepreneur, which was in other countries, also in Eastern Europe.
Mhm. Mhm.
And in digital way, working with a lot of countries. Yes.
Mhm. I mean, that was on your 30s, right? I think it sounds like quite like an interesting job, right? You were traveling, involved with different projects with different people, you got around, got back to Latin America, and then still you decided at the age of 40 that you had this shift. It's time to change something. Where did that come from?
Yes, maybe I was having the experience of traveling, but working and traveling. So I just wanted to experience getting more involved with the communities and having some sabbatical. So have the chance to uh, understand local countries or even travel more. I could say, yeah, strong focus in traveling more, which the work and travel gave me that chance, but somehow I stick to some country for a period of time. So yeah, I could say that's the main reason.
Hmm.
Also, I could say it's like a life stop, just to rethink the next steps in life, to provide some meaning and to recharge myself. I could say that was important because honestly, I cover all my needs, like economically, professionally, personal goals. So I didn't need to do that. It was just, yes, just to continue growing, let's say.
And there were no other voices in your head or from maybe society, a family. You're in your 40s. You have to build a stable life. What are you doing now? Where are you going?
Oh, yes, definitely. I could say my one was the loudest voice telling me like you should stay home, make the family, continue working, and be a normal person. But for some reason, I also need to listen my soul, my spirit.
Mm.
I was going into like deeper spiritual concepts and also considering the, let's say, uh, brevity of life and how it's important to go for your dreams and give that priority. So I could say it's fantastic to have the chance to realize that at the right time and not, realizing when you are in your last breath, let's say. So of course I have a lot of like self-conflict, the should be, and the things that I want to do. And yes, it was a lot of talks with family, with partner, and with myself. And it was not easy.
How long did it take you, the process of making that decision?
Well,
Sometimes some
I could
people
say
are
it's
really like, oh,
partially it's
thinking, yeah.
gradual. Yeah, it's gradual, and it's like it's composed by too many components. Let's say, for example, even at work, you see that you have a new project or a new challenge, and a new goal, and maybe a new position or higher salary. But then there is something inside or invisible that you say, okay, but there is something that I want to explore, I want to have in my life, and not covering that. So that's on one side. And well, you have your dreams that you want to do. So it's a combination of many things. And yeah, it's in my particular case, I try to find meaning for life, not only follow that path that everyone follows, but explore myself and just that kind of sense that wanted to experience.
Mhm.
So basically, that was part of the conflict. I was doing a lot of meditation, learning a lot of meditation or life coaching things. So I was also experiencing that, let's say, opening personal development or spiritual side. And it was getting more emphasis in my life.
I think that's very interesting. How did you get in contact with these topics? Meditation, personal development, maybe even coaching. In the cliche, being an industrial engineer, where did that come into your life? Where did you get to know about it?
I could say it comes from many years before. For a long time, I remember buying books when exploring library, checking books related with Dalai Lama. And every time I have my retreats in my 20s, go in and read that books or explore about that. So it was not overnight, it was gradual and maybe just connecting with the right people led me to building that. So during holiday times, have the opportunity to study something and then I learn about some technique, have some meditation training in other moment. So combining all that, you are reshaping yourself or building yourself and finding something great. And I could say that spiritual side is something that we all have, but in my personal case, I wanted to explore more and more. It's something that really resonates with me.
Yeah.
So even considering industrial skills or technical skills, which I really enjoy so much, I love numbers, I love efficiency, I love productivity. I think numbers are magical. It's the language of God, like many people say.
Wow.
But also I find interesting other soft skill topics. So both are great, I could say. Developments related with engineering, but also developments related with soft skills. And for a long time, I was deciding or thinking I should specialize in only one. But I always feel if I only focus in one, it would be not enough. I need the other one. The other part is part of me also. I need both, and somehow I find the time to spend some time with each of them.
I can very much relate to that. Psychology, communication, coaching, and leadership, and then traveling and intercultural aspects. I definitely relate to that. What would you say, if you may share, what was one of the biggest learnings or realizations about yourself when you got into this personal development journey, let's say?
Okay, when talk about realization is like achievements
Yeah,
or learnings.
or maybe also something that you discovered about yourself or that opened a door to some topics or whatever you've realized about yourself.
Okay, of course, it's so deep and never ending. It's eternal. So you can have new questions and new answers. But some phrases comes to my mind that I want to remark is every journey starts with the first step. That first step, it's the most important because you need to change your habit. And just to give an example, if you want to run a marathon, you need to run 42 kilometers. And let's say you are overweight, you sit down in the sofa and turn on the TV, you not need to run 40 kilometers the first day. Instead of you arrive from the office to your home and sit down and follow the habit of getting your drink and your popcorn and turn on the TV. You need to challenge yourself and go to put shoes and go and walk 100 meters. That first little step is the huge step. And I'm sure if you can do that, it's not only one step. You already made like 20 kilometers.
Mhm.
Of course, that first step would lead you to 50. So you can even challenge that person. Yeah, I can do 10 meters. It's nonsense. But that change is great. And that's change in mindset, which is not easy. It's more comfortable to do always the same. But if you really want to achieve that, it works. And the other is coming from Wayne Dyer. That is one of my inspiring persons.
Mhm.
Says I don't leave this world without expressing your music. One is about the first step, and the other is we have some time, so make the most of this. And again, I repeat what I said before. It's great when you have that capacity of realizing before your last breath that you can go for your dreams, basically. So that I would say is quite important.
It's interesting because when I hear you talking, it sounds to me like the first one was really like reverse engineering, right? That's a lot of engineering again. And the second one sounds to me like a lot of productivity and management, actually. So it is coming together again with your profession.
Okay, yes, there is an approach that I share sometimes, which is I am here, and from here I start going to the future. But I like also that reverse engineering approach in which I just describe in detail the state in which I want to be. And from there, I go backwards. So when I go backwards, I start collecting all the tools that I need to get to that final state.
Was that the moment you started your personal development project?
On my fees, I started doing some sabbatical, but also I took the chance to go deep, studying about personal development and start doing some projects. Even when studying, I start creating some content or courses,
Mhm.
but it was just to, like support my studies and put in practice all the things that I learned. That was the goal. Don't wait till you have the degree. Just start right now creating trainings or content. But yes, I have opportunity to work for some online school providing training about personal development. And then I create digital content. It was not a plan, let's say, but it came by unexpectedly, and together with my personal bucket list, I have the idea to write a book one day. So I just went into a hiking to St. James Way or Camino de Santiago or
Mm.
Jacobo.
Mhm.
And so I had the chance to do that and say I could write a book about that. And I wrote a book and
Wow.
I have the opportunity to combine many things, bucket list, hiking, and personal development covering that. Yeah.
I forgot that in my introduction. So you wrote a book. What was the topic then? About the path, or was it about your own journey?
Yes, it's a novel, but the goal of the novel is to read yourself
Mm.
through the story. And the name of the book is The Field of Stars on the Path of Life. So while walking to Santiago de Compostela in Spain, you have experiences and it's a parallel between hiking or pilgrimage, but at the same time for self-reflection of ideas in the path of life. And there is some self-reflection ideas that everyone can read for themselves and can get self-conclusions. That's the goal.
Wow, cool. That sounds a bit like The Pilgrimage, the book from Paulo Coelho. I don't know if you know about that, but he wrote one of his first books on the Camino path. And did it get published, your novel?
Yes, in fact, I knew that book. I read that book. It was the first book she wrote before the famous alchemist. Yes, I knew that story and based on Camino de Santiago as well. Yes, I have the chance to publish the book and to translate to multiple languages.
Oh,
I think
really?
it's in 10 languages.
Wow.
Yes, yes, yes.
And but for whom did you write it? Was it for yourself or for your friends and family?
Originally, yes. Originally, the idea was, oh, wow. I mean, that was a fantastic story that I experienced while walking. So with all my friends that I made throughout the Camino, I say, this is amazing. I was thinking to open a blog. And one of the friends recommended me to go for a book because a book has a beginning and an
Mm.
end. So he recommended that. And I took it like, wow, this is interesting. And it was also in the bucket list. And so combining all the things, it was interesting because I had no idea how to write a book. I was always reluctant to go for writing, but it was more fluent and some content I found amazing. And
Mm.
I learned some technical aspects of formatting and publishing and so on. And so in the end, it was a book. So it was just to share experiences or self-reflection ideas with people. It was first in Spanish, so the spirit was just with the Spanish speakers. But then I have the idea of translating to new languages, and that's how I start translating to multiple languages. Basically, transmit the same so everyone can read that. That was the goal. Yes.
Cool.
But I also have the chance to provide some lectures or talks in multiple places. And that's an amazing way to reach people because if you go to the bookstore or digital bookstore, there are like a million of books and you may not find that one, but when you share some stories or experiences you have, you connect directly with people and people fall in love with the stories. I also made some paper back versions and have the opportunity to share in live seminars, and that's the best.
Yeah, it's amazing. Congratulations. That's beautiful. And that was also the time when you started your YouTube channel, right?
Yes, I started a YouTube channel, but also no purpose. I found the Tao Te King, which for
Yeah.
me is a book of wisdom and resonate to me. And following again, Wayne Dyer, he made a comment that he read the book by himself. So I have this idea as a way to learn, but also to share. There are 81 or 84 lectures or chapters. So I was reading one a day for about 3 months and just reflecting every day about only that chapter. And so it was a combination of
Wow.
making the book or the audio book, but also reading and learning about that. Yeah, it was a good, like a step by step learning.
Is this a typical engineering behavior? Because when I hear you, I feel that you have a lot of self-discipline.
That's a interesting word. I am not sure if I am disciplined because discipline I connect with perfection.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be perfect,
Mm-hmm.
but I could say I am disciplined. And by the way, I can tell you when I quit my job working for multiple companies and want to be working by myself, discipline was a word that didn't resonate good to me because discipline sounds like a lack of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to enjoy, you just want to have fun, and the last thing you want is to have discipline. So no, I don't want to know anything about that. So I just want to flow in life. But now I have a different concept about that, and I believe also that discipline is also necessary to your goal, but also to have that feeling of freedom. I think some degree of discipline can be good.
Yeah, I did once these different spiritual readings or offerings or whatsoever, and the numbers about my birthday always say freedom through discipline. And I found that very interesting, as if I keep a certain way of a disciplined life, I reach freedom and the actual goal behind it. So that is a way for me to deal with that word. I understand your negative connotation to it, that there's no more flexibility and creativity if you're so structured and disciplined. But it is also based on our individual interpretation, right? It's interesting. Thanks for sharing. Well, and then somehow you made it to Eastern Europe, Estonia. Why Eastern Europe? Please share what was so interesting and fascinating for you. I mean, of course, I love Europe, but what was fascinating as being Argentinian to go to Eastern Europe?
Well, the most interest for me was exploring cultures different from what I had, and that's why I found differences living in this part of the world, and that was the most attractive. Just an example, we find quite similar cultures going to Spain or Italy, maybe. So wanted to experience some part of my life, even part of my bucket list in some remote place, but I could extend that to reborn in a new place or be also open to start from zero or learn from zero some a new culture. So that was the spirit. Let myself to learn again cultural facts or about a new culture of people.
And how did you experience this cultural shift between Latin and South America to Eastern Europe?
I could say it was a gradual steps. I have the chance to go to India and I met a future partner that he was from the Baltic. So I got more engaged with the Baltic countries. And at the same time, all things happen together with my spirit of developing some digital entrepreneurial
Mhm.
lifestyle, and at the same time found a seminar in Argentina about digital entrepreneurship, and found some person talking about the Estonian framework. So all that combined and going back and forth to Baltic area made me develop a company in Estonia and getting more in touch with the local culture. Mhm.
What would you say? You've probably seen a lot of different areas in Eastern Europe. What were your favorite ones?
Yes, there are a lot of beautiful, amazing places. I remember right now a place called Nida. Nida is an island in Lithuania. You just take a ferry and you got a beautiful place where you have forest, beach. It's amazing place and still peaceful, especially if you go in the off season. I mean, all year round is great, but you have that time of the year that you can have a like a peaceful time and beautiful forest, so that's amazing.
I do have roots from Eastern Europe. Let's say the area around Kaliningrad is where my grandparents are coming from. That's why I was traveling in the Baltics when we met to discover a bit of my roots. I definitely understand your interest and your curiosity about these areas. But I remember, and that's just what I wanted to say, that you said you also have roots in Eastern Europe.
Yes, well, by being in Ukraine, I have the opportunity through friends to do the DNA heritage test, and I got surprised that I have 50% from Europe and 50% from Latin America. And researching a little bit more, I found something from Central Europe and Eastern Europe. And I thought honestly it was a mistake because I was there making the test at that moment. And I say, well, this is the degree of error assumption that they put some percentage. I thought, but then got in touch with some relatives and they says, no, your grandpas or grandpas were born in this area. So it's not 100% confirmed. And I even don't know if my grandfather, the father of my father, was born in Argentina or was born in Odessa, Ukraine. Yes.
Wow, I feel goosebumps. That's a very magical moment that you somehow end up in Ukraine and then realize that you have Ukrainian descent. And how did you feel about that?
First was like a surprise. I thought it was an error, but also amazing because I remember the friend mentioned that didn't like the test because it was 99% just from one village or from one very concentrated area. But in my case, when I saw the results, it was like a from multiple areas and sounds like exciting to me, but also it's kind of magical maybe. I feel great being here where like apparently ancestors also were here. So it's kind of a match with that. I love being in Latin America, in Argentina, and I have some of my ancestors there, but in some places in Europe, I feel great also, and it matches with my ancestors. So it
Wow.
made sense to me and sounds amazing.
Yeah. Do you believe in destiny?
I would say maybe yes, but I also agree that we choose our path. I believe in the power of visualization.
Mm.
I don't know if that already pre-written or predestined, but I believe that we have some wish. We believe that this is going to happen. I believe that soon or late you can be there. Of course, can be reshaped, can take a different form, but I agree that you get there where you imagine you're going to be.
Yeah, well, and destiny would be that even though you don't imagine to be there, you end up there because this is your path. You're going to end up in Ukraine. I found it magic, especially when you're coming all the way from Argentina. I mean, it's not really around the corner. Yeah, it's magic how life sometimes takes us, right?
Yes, yes, I can tell you when I was maybe 10-year old, I never think about ending up here or even traveling to so many places. Of course, yes, things change and through time you can learn something new. You know, I mean, at that moment when I was a kid, it was Soviet Union, so didn't exist as a country, Ukraine, and everything was so far, but all Europe was so far and something not imaginable. As I mentioned before, Pamplona was something so far, like, oh,
Mm.
wow, that's amazing. Yeah, yeah. But after so many years and traveling to more countries and seeing that everything is possible and gaining confidence and experience and that habit of traveling or I don't know, visualizing and making things happen was also kind of magic.
Hmm.
So now I suggest and recommend myself to be very mindful about what I really want because that can lead to my destiny.
Yeah, our attention really is driving the focus there, right? That's very true. And then what I find very touching about your story is you got married in Ukraine 2 days before the war started.
Mhm.
Please share with me or with us your experience from that time.
Okay, so it was a time that I just want to settle down in Ukraine. I found in the city of Lviv an amazing place to stay. And I say, this is my decision. It's going to be here. And I was like a sort of digital nomad going here and there. But I have found that idea of, okay, it's time to settle down. I start appreciating more staying in one place rather than moving here and there. I was starting to preparing myself, getting one place for long term, and also decide to get married with my partner. Uh, in February, we got married and preparing stable life. And yes, it was only after 2 days the war came, and well, it was unexpected and magical. And we defined to follow the flow of all people, and we left the country together after 1 day or 2 days and stay for a few months outside Ukraine. But then we just decided to come back.
For a lot of people, the typical idea of a wedding was like the most amazing day of your life. And then 2 days later, you're faced with these news and the tragic situation in their own country. How did you deal with that? Were you talking with your partner, your family, your friends? How do you behave in that moment?
Yes, yes. Well, I was reading little news and I have some meetings the same day of the invasion with people or professionals from other countries. And they say, what are you doing there? I was not thinking about leaving, but I went outside to the streets and I saw people just leaving and talk with some friends and they were expats also leaving and says, hey, I'm just taking the train right now. And I saw like everyone moving. But yeah, I was in a wonderful apartment. I was planning for the long term to stay and live more settled with my couple. And I couldn't imagine that. That was totally unexpected. Yeah, we just decided to leave. Yes,
And
not thinking much because we didn't know the consequences. We spent like 1 or 2 days in Poland and then we moved to Estonia.
okay, Estonia.
Estonia, I already know the country quite well, and I already have my firm there, so I just decided to go there. I sort of like feel at home as well.
I mean, I remember, I think the whole world, but of course, Europe, especially, we were all in shock and maybe even in denial what's happening there. And now you're still living there again. Lviv, as we know, it's in the west of Ukraine. But I know a lot of people in Germany, they were suddenly thinking of, oh my God, what are we going to do? I think probably a lot of people would just fly away and sit somewhere in Africa or South America and enjoy their life because they wouldn't be in the state of supporting their country as a lot of Ukrainians did and do. How was your perception of that?
Mhm. Well, of course, we are still in a state of war, and I don't suggest go for holidays to Ukraine. But it's true that even being in Estonia, my wife was missing this place more than me, as I say, and more flexible, and I could adapt more than her. But she had the feeling of coming back. Also, a cat was here, so make sure that the cat is in good conditions. So I just support her, but also support myself, and so that we could stay here. Of course, there is some degree of risk, but let's say a measured risk, and we decided to.
I find it very brave, to be honest. I find it very brave that you are living there at the moment and that you're deciding to go back, even though you already left the country. And I think for a lot of people, this is something they cannot imagine or they would not be brave enough or whatever word is the right word for this. I'm really inspired and a bit scared to hear that, to be honest. How are you dealing with it every day? Like something can happen. I mean, Lviv is quite in the west. And you have a child. How are you dealing with that?
Well, maybe for good or not for good, I don't focus much in the news. In fact, if I talk with my mother, she warns me about everything's happening and she provides more news than I have. But I just maybe focus with other things related with family, business, or with maybe my mind is maybe about some sports event here or some family topics. I mean, I'm not blind. Of course, I read news and I get involved with what's happening, but I don't put my 100% there.
And maybe one more question, as much as you know, or you perceiving it from friends and family, how are the Ukrainian people dealing with that situation?
Well, it's a change. I mean, I remember the before and after, and I think it was totally different. Before, of course, the environment changed, the people change. Imagine that you have a family, but if not a family, it's a colleague. If not a colleague, it's your friend. Or if not that, it's the friend of the friend. We are all connected. So somehow everything is an influence and it comes to you that arrives to you. So we are all interconnected, you know, and I
Of
mean,
course.
even if you just talk with a person that you don't know, you feel that, you see that, and you go to the street and you see things that you didn't see before. So of course we are all impacted by that or influenced, you know, I mean, we all have connections, we are all connected and we also feel or see things, you know, and we show respect for people and for things that happen.
And would you say the main energy is more anger towards the world, politics in Russia, or more fear that something is going to happen again, or rather stay positive and focus on our life here and on our community? How would you describe that energy?
It's a mix of things as a variety of people
Of
we have.
course.
I say anger, yes, fear, yes, but also braveness, closeness. There is also good things that come up, you know, where you show support in which maybe in other contexts you don't find. So yes, also that's let's say the positive things when these kind of tragedies happen. Mutual support. In some cases, you find a piece of harmony within your
Yeah.
day where you have the chance to share some moment with someone. Today is an amazing day, beautiful day outside, or you share some time with someone talking about your life or something nice that happened.
Mm.
So that's also good. I could say not everything is black or white.
No.
So there are black within white and white within black, you know.
Do you speak Ukrainian?
I could say that I speak a little Ukrainian.
Most of them probably communicate in English, right?
I speak English, Spanish, and Ukrainian, depending with whom I'm talking. But here at home, we speak English and Spanish with the baby.
Yeah, sweet, sweet. I remember I hosted several female Ukrainian refugees when the war started in 2022. They were all trying to come from Poland towards Germany and then either stay in Germany or continued around Europe or even into overseas. And it was very touching for me. I'm a very empathetic person. I relate to a lot of human tragedies around the world, let's say. One more question around that. You became a father last year, and your wife became a mother. Did that have any impact on you, how to build a family and how to parent your child in terms of the current situation you're in?
Yes, of course, it does. We have decided to have a baby and stay here. So it's not only about me or even my wife. So it's about her and her safety. So yes, I think about her future and I consider her safety a lot.
And I'm wondering, how are you dealing with it? Do you have any alternative plans if something is happening? Are you going back to Estonia then?
We have talked about that since I have a international background. It's not difficult to move or relocate. Also, we thought about we should go to Argentina and stay there. It was an option, just stay, or who knows, somewhere else, you know. But our idea right now is to stay here. We are not thinking much about that. Of course, if things escalate, we are not going into crazy ideas because we are also protecting the life of someone else. I can just decide that for myself, or my wife can decide that for herself, but we are just caring someone else now. So we are putting that into priority now. But as today, I think it's okay staying here.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Well, Dante, what really interests me, especially, I'm in my 30s, becoming a mother is definitely a big topic in German society, at least. How is it to become a father?
Well, for me, it's a magical gift. It's amazing. I enjoy that so much in my life. I think it's the best that could happen to me.
Hmm.
Why? Because I already experienced all the things that every person could like. Again, just do everything before your last breath come. Travel, develop your business, do all the things that you will not regret one day. And I think that also having a family was part of my visualization that one day will come, and this came, and I enjoyed that so much. Learning and coming back to vulnerability and sharing with my daughter and seeing how she smiles. She gives, I don't know, unexpected new tricks or gestures. Every day is magical. So I enjoy the time with her. And I don't know if that's learning, but it's very, very makes me feel so good.
Is there something you realized about yourself being a father?
No, because I have that spirit of being self-sustained. I can just move myself everywhere. But also, I mentioned that I wouldn't like to be 84-year old and let's say reverse engineering again and say I don't have that to share with someone. But you have a friend that you meet for one day and it's amazing experience, but another is the partner. You go on the path for many years and you pass many experiences, the good ones and also the bad ones, which is also good, and just collect together or travel together, through those times. And I think that's extremely rich. So let's say that when I am 84-year old and start talking about all the stories that we share together, I always think that this is amazing. So I think it's the greatest step I have done today. Have a family and of course give support to the family, but this family gives me a lot of support and love, plus a baby also.
Sweet, yeah. How would you say the war, the circumstance, but also having a child, how did it form or impact your relationship?
Of course, there were harder times, and I don't use much the word resilient, but it's not our choice. So you have this or this. There is no other option. And well, maybe have other options, but we choose to going together in our life. There's a lot of emotions that comes and again influence each other. So yes, it's not that easy. Also have the minute of self-reflection and understand the other person and have empathy and be in the shoes of the other. And I could say that communication is crucial. So you express what's happening with you, how do you see the other person, and vice versa. And I think that's the best way to build up a strong relationship. So yeah, I can say it was like a very difficult times. So basically we just work together and communicate and be open about every topics. But I also say that creates a stronger bonds, so connects us even more.
Yeah, I definitely support that. I used to work with couples, and actually, the reason number one for couples to break up was a lack of communication. So it is a very crucial aspect to really share what's inside of you, but also really have the ability to understand and really listen to each other to make things work and come closer together again, right? Would you say that was an advantage of you being already older? Would you say that was a positive aspect for you being a father?
Yes, yes, because I have the chance to have a vast experience traveling around the world. And I mean, all the things that I wanted to do in my life, I have time to be a young person and enjoy the youth. I'm still feeling young,
Yeah.
but there are other things that I want to live in my life and maybe dedicating to a family. But this is personal. In my case, I wanted to experience things maybe unstable or other priorities more. So it was not in my mind years before. but through time get more mature and stable. So I think it's just the idea of settle down, even the idea of like traveling here and there change. So it's more, I like to say that the tree settle down and start growing there.
Yeah,
So
I
I think this is the appropriate time in my case.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes total sense. Okay. And well, now, besides being a father, you still have your two businesses. So you have your YouTube project, right? And you're having a business in Estonia. And you are giving lectures and courses at universities in management and engineering, productivity. How are you balancing all of this at the same time?
Yes. I, let's say, put my efficiency side there, and I'm even obsessive for automation. I try to automate as much as possible. So that provides me that time that I use for something else. In fact, personal development, I start finding the need and that find the time also to do that. Yes. And I think everything is interconnected. So one of the topics in one field brings me rich topics for the other and vice versa. Of course, working professionally with real projects in engineering or different supply chain contexts brings me rich raw materials for working in personal development areas. So yes, I like to do all of them. And provide lectures, I would say, is interconnected, depending the type of lecture, but it's really interconnected to continuous improvement, to engineering, or also to personal development. Yes.
What role do you like the most?
It's interesting. I received a lot of training for so many years in technical skills and engineering. And I think I have dexterity or knowledge about that through years. I like that very much. But the other, maybe it's natural. I don't know if I study much or by doing the professional work brings me a lot of experience about personal development without realizing. Or also, I dedicate a lot of my free time learning about personal development. I read books about personal development, maybe more than engineering. So also I have my heart with that. But every time I say, okay, if my heart is there, I will do 100% personal development. But if I do that, I feel like, but I also like to do efficiency and planning and projects related with numbers and on productivity and things like that. So yeah, my heart has a lot of personal development, but I need to keep my intellectual tasks or challenges every day. But I also say that with the personal development, in early stages, I was focusing more in engineering, and I would say I'm building my work for the age of 70 and 80-year old. So I was just thinking in a very long term. And every day I put brick into that building.
What is your definition of productivity on a personal level? And maybe how did it change over the years?
Okay. Very simple. I can say with 1 unit of resource to get as much as possible of output. You can use in any field. With 1 kilo of flour, how many cakes can you produce? Just to give an example. It can be in any terms. With 1 hour of your life, how can you enjoy the most in your life or one day in your life? So productivity is crucial. I don't take it 100% in terms of KPI or numbers. If you create that habit of everything seen with the eyes of productivity and be not productive, because you are only thinking in the output and how much effective you are. So also giving time for doing nothing in some context or enjoying life or forget about productivity or even go for meditation and leave that aside is also the most productive thing to do. So it's like a balance. Sometimes you think about KPIs and numbers and how to use that hour, that machine, that resource, or whatever you have. But in some contexts, I could say the most productive thing is forget about productivity. And what I do sometimes is just go for a retreat, go outside the city, turn off my phone, my devices, everything, and I forget about productivity, about KPIs, about everything related with that. Just flow in life and experience the contact with nature and myself.
Is productivity the same as efficiency?
Well, it's not really the same. but they are related. Usually when one goes higher, the other goes higher. Efficiency is when you want to make that cake, to use the materials as best as possible. Sometimes, but it depends on the author or the topic. Sometimes productivity can correlate two different variables. Have a team of 10 people. What does 10 people can make? These 10 people can build a house of three stores, for example. So this is related with productivity. And then instead of 10, you have 15. And instead of three stores, you make it 10 stores. So you talk about productivity correlating different variables. And efficiency is more related with how well do you use your resources, and the best way you use them is the most efficient. So let's say, I mean, you have 100% of your time in a production line, to give an example. 99% of the time, it was only producing goods at the right quality without any scrap, and that's efficient.
What would be the same example with the 10 people? So 10 people building a house with 3 stories. What would be efficiency around that?
Okay, let's go into the use of materials, for example. What is the maximum number of stores or levels or square meters that you can use with the 10 people?
Okay, the other way around.
So the maximum is like a yes, but for example, with materials, you can say that how many liters of painting you need. Sometimes, okay, maybe this one can be to be productive. You have people and number of levels of house levels. But when you combine too many resources, that's more difficult, because how do you combine? I need painting resources, I need materials, I need people, and I need money. So just to measure productivity may be more difficult. So you combine all that and you express in one unit. So that's why I say they are related to each other, but they are not exactly the same.
And now you're coming from the engineering background. You are really into personal development. How would you implement these techniques into personal development and achieving personal wishes or needs or goals? How would you put that all together?
Okay, I could say a lot of engineering techniques or methodologies or managerial methodologies are so useful for personal development. For example, planning and discipline, just keeping my professional journal and writing my goal every day, or my goal for the next week, or my goal for the next month, or my goal for the next year. So keeping that discipline or plan every day and just tracking the progress of each of that priorities or goals are also good for personal development. Also, the concept of efficiency or productivity can be useful, maybe respecting the or having the balance between time for doing different activities, professional, but also finding balance in life and work. I like working so much. So that line, it's variable. It's not like 8 hours or 4 hours. Sometimes it's Sunday and I have the feeling that I want to stay the full day working. So maybe I stay 16 hours. So I don't say it should be 8 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours. It's changing like all the time, depending on goals or in that balance, or maybe also in extension of period. If I have long time, like 6 months or 7 months, I have that need of 1 week of disconnection. So it's more like finding that balance.
Yeah, I think that's important because the pitfall of personal development is all about optimizing yourself and getting better and higher and faster, right? And sometimes, especially also in the mental health context, it is not about optimizing more or being better or getting better, but also really to slow down. So, how would you say has maybe your understanding of productivity and efficiency, or maybe the whole reverse engineering process, how has that maybe changed over the years, also with age and with life experience for you?
What is coming now to my mind is just go deeper into granular level. It's sort of like going into with a microscope. So you enter deeper and deeper with some topic, but also can be some microscope to analyze the composition of some material. So it's like meditation, like a surface level. You can enjoy your life. You have a drink with friends. You just eat a tasty cake, but then you go into like a deeper levels of your soul or into like a meditation levels. But also you could do that with engineering, like going deeper with some topic, could exploring the composition of some material, for example, or understanding in deeper level what's happening with some variable, let's say some time or some productivity into a production line. So that's kind comes to my mind, like the idea of just going deeper into that area that you are exploring.
And
But I'm not sure if that's related with your question.
it sounds reasonable. And then maybe one more question connected to that. As being an engineer, but also you having the experience with meditation and with personal development, how do you balance logic and systems and numbers, but at the same time also emotional intelligence and maybe intuition?
To get good ideas in engineering or with numbers, you need to connect with yourself. To connect with your creativity, you need to be in that, let's say, stage of meditative condition where you are in balance with yourself and you can connect with that creativity result. So you are either working in engineering topics or meditation, you need just to go into that, yes, connection with yourself, let's say. I mean, I just can use some calculator or Excel table, but that's like directly getting an answer. And sometimes you need to connect with creativity to get what you're looking for.
I'm assuming that's also something that's growing over the years, right? The more you experience, the better connection you have with yourself. What would you say, as you have a very rich life and a very interesting biography, what was maybe one of the most important or most pivotal moments for you in life?
I could just relate that with my bucket list. The last in the bucket list is inner peace. And that's tricky because I could say, yes, I already did it. So I just put it there. But it's never ending. So it's for the rest of my life. And every time I have that item to be completed, and through the path of my life, I have moments that I go into the human condition and start telling me my stories and create that person talking to me. But also I have that moments of calm and finding myself some little spot that is brilliant and magic. You are basically connected with yourself and you feel great. And this is when you can say, I can put done on my checklist. So it's done, but it's never finished, you know? And so all those moments can be meeting with friends and sharing a great talk, can be yourself when you are having a shower, sitting on your sofa, maybe when you are working and you are connected with that work you have right now. And that's amazing. And you find that second or moment or day or hour of greatness and you connect with your creativity. And in that moment, you start exploring and finding wonderful things. Can be when you take your bus or drive your car to work, you turn on the radio or you just have that feeling of greatness. So it's all the time. But I also believe that it's wonderful have that balance, live in the present moment and be connected with yourself and also let yourself live your life and just disconnect from that present moment and tell your story, do your daily tasks. Also meditate requires your dedication, your time. And I believe for me, it's good to go outside of that meditation and live my life and have my challenges and so on. So those are great again. But that meditation stage or that find peace within your days is always amazing. I try to provide myself a daily basis, like a 5 minutes at the beginning of the day, sometime after lunch, and then during the weekends to take the day off, and at the end of the year, take some time off for self-reflection. So all that are little treasures that you put within your path of life, get in connection with yourself.
Now imagining the maybe young Dante just starting university. What is it what you would advise yourself now about life and about the different obstacles and challenges that are coming your way? What is it what you have learned over the time? What you would do differently maybe nowadays if you would be that young again?
Okay, say to that person, just do it. If you feel it, do it. Don't stop yourself. You will regret not doing that. So try to find way, resources, support from people to face that fears, but go on. Believe in yourself and go forward. Move on to what matters to you.
And sometimes people don't really feel or know what they want to do. Sometimes people are overworked or they're losing a bit of their purpose or wishes. How would you advise them in this situation? Is there any way of accessing this problem, or how would you deal with that if there's a time where you don't really know exactly, oh, what do I want now? What's my next step? How would you support these people?
I could say that's great and that's wonderful if that happens. And also, I experienced that situation. And the best advice is let it be, embrace it, or accept that. It's like the latency the plant has during winter time to grow into the next stage. It's not necessary to be productive. I want to see that fruits are coming and nothing is coming. Maybe you may believe that nothing is happening, but too many things are happening. So if you already are aware that this is happening, just embrace it and take your time, and not everything is going to be forever. Things will change. So even when at simple sight looks like nothing is happening, too many things are happening.
Very wise word.
Maybe need that spot of light or awareness to realize that. But just being aware of that, or don't know where to go, is a great step as well.
Exactly. Accepting the moment. Yeah.
Accepting the moment. Also, there is a time that you can push yourself to go into the next step. You push, say, it's time that I don't know, I don't want, I'm not sure if that's right. But maybe there is something that is a call, like an inner call, says you should start with that. Maybe you can say like a push from yourself or kick your butt and even against your will, start doing it because you all will discover things and you will get to the next stage. So it's like a walk the unknown way. So it's good to have that stop and not knowing where you go, and a little combination with that push to yourself to go where you think it will lead you to the right place. You can also say it's maybe intuition or some inner call.
And imagine that's now a real situation for someone. How do you go through everyday life with this state of not knowing? Do you have any little tools, any little routines you could advise someone to practice? Besides meditation, of course, is there anything else that comes to your mind? I always advise journaling and writing things down and really getting in contact with yourself and being active physically, also really getting in touch with your body. Is there anything else that comes to your mind that might be a good tool, even from your courses and your teachings or from engineering?
Okay, meditation, of course. Journaling, I think, is extremely powerful. Talking with other person, sharing with that person that you rely, and not only psychotherapists, but also can be like a close friend or some person that you trust, and you just share your thoughts and your goals or wishes, but also that can bring journaling, but go back in your stories, go into your memories and says, this already happened before. And you remember that situation that you didn't know how to continue, but then you gave the steps and you finally succeed into that based on past. So of course, you don't know where it's going to be the next future, so it's uncertainty. But you can say trusting God, trusting yourself, trusting the destiny. Just connect with yourself, basically.
It's very important. I think trust is very important for all of us. Okay. And Dante, then I'm curious, what is the next chapter for you? What is coming up for you? How do you approach your next years?
I could say family is a very important issue. It's also a new chapter in my life where I want to see giving my knowledge, experience, love to my family. So see how that tree of life grow. Enjoy that very much. And I could say also providing sharing the best I can do now. I like to say that the book of 100 years of life is divided into sections or chapters. the first 50 years or the first 40 years is related to getting or coming inside me. And now is the second stage in which I start giving that to people. It can be knowledge and advice, even an engineering support or help others to grow. And I think that's the most rewarding to me. Can take different shapes, can be even within efficiency project related with engineering, which is awesome because you help people, companies, the productivity of a system or a country or the community. But at the same time, also can be as simple as supporting a person with some soft skills as well. So it's just giving my knowledge and sharing, basically.
So wise. Thank you for your answers. Now I'm curious, when your daughter's a bit older and she can speak and she would ask you, what is the meaning of life, Daddy? What would you answer?
Discover the meaning of life by yourself.
Okay. And what would you say is the meaning of your life?
Comes to my mind with just a blink of an eye in the eternity path. So you wake up, be aware of your life, do well, give your best, and close your eyes.
Very touching. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that was beautiful. And life can take us so many different paths and ways. Well, you said you didn't think of ever moving so far away from Argentina when you were young, right?
Yes. I have no idea where I will end up in the next 5, 10, 15,
We
20
never
years.
know exactly where life is taking us. Thank you so much, Dante. That was very beautiful. Is there
Thank you. Really.
Is there anything else that is coming up for you? Now we've been talking about so many things. Is there anything that wants to be shared or said? Also, maybe for people in this whole context of personal development, anything that comes to your mind as a beautiful memory or reminder?
It's something that comes from this last question, but something that is resonating to me more and more every day. And maybe it's a mission, but it's related with to do well. You don't have to read the rules or how things are. It comes from within. So when you have that, you just talk with yourself and that will tell you that this is correct thing you have to do. So it's that listen to yourself and do well. But that do well doesn't come from outside, it comes from you. And it's a personal responsibility or mission that we all have.
You said it earlier, but now it fits again. What is your personal definition of success?
It's a feeling that at the end of the day, you say, wow, I did it well. It's not related with a number, a KPI, or something that I achieved. It's that feeling of, yes, congratulations, well done. That's success.
Very subjective, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow,
Yes.
thanks, Dante. Wow, that was a beautiful conversation, so deep, and we covered many different chapters of your life, different aspects of life itself. I'm very grateful for your time and your openness and deep answers to the different questions. Thank you so much.
Well, I really appreciate this moment because I have the opportunity to share time with you, with others, and also with me. This little spot of 2 hours is an amazing time to connect with myself and with others, of course.
Beautiful, beautiful way of framing it. Thank you so much. I wish you a wonderful weekend, a beautiful time ahead with your family. All the best. Good luck in Ukraine and for the future.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.